Welcome to Holding Down the Fort, a podcast show dedicated to curating knowledge, resources, and relevant stories so military spouses can continue to make confident and informed decisions for their families. Because, let's face it, we know who's really holding down the fort. I'm Jen Amos, a Gold Star daughter, a veteran spouse, and your host for today's show. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Holding Down the Fort. Before I get into my official announcements and our amazing interview today, I would be remiss if I didn't say that I have been feeling the weight of current events lately. I'm still finding my words on how I feel about everything. I hope you'll forgive me for keeping this opening a bit vague. Until I find my words, I want to let you know that I'm here. I'm doing my best to show up and stay informed. Fortunately, my husband is a history buff and big on following current events, so I get to get all the updates from him every day. Either way, I encourage all of us to get informed, show compassion and grace to each other, and let's take educated actions for the benefit of all of us. Today's times will definitely be in the history books, especially at the time that this episode was published, May 25th, 2020. I'll leave it up to you to do a Google search if you are unsure of the current events that are taking place right now at this time, May 25th. All right. So, announcements. Really excited. I have mentioned this in the recent episodes. Holding Down the Fort now has a newsletter. Similar to the podcast show, this newsletter will be curating knowledge, resources, and relevant stories so you can continue to make confident and informed decisions for you and your family. The best part of this is it's not just me sharing stuff. It's actually content from the guest we have interviewed on this show. And so this is your opportunity to learn more about them and see what other resources they have to share for our amazing military community. You can check out the show notes of this episode to subscribe, or simply visit holdingdownthefortpodcast.com. Holding Down the Fort podcast is brought to you by the amazing company I'm proud to represent, U.S. Vet Wealth. At U.S. Vet Wealth, we educate and empower veterans and their families on how to have personal autonomy in their lives with our 3 pillars of financial control, self-development, and identity. Today, I want to briefly talk about our self-development pillar. For anyone that's looking to improve their professional presence on LinkedIn, especially veterans and military spouses, U.S. Vet Wealth is offering a free 30-day LinkedIn masterclass for free. You can register today at usvetwealth.com/LinkedIn, or you could just visit usvetwealth.com. You can also email me directly with my business email, Jen, that's Jen, at usvetwealth.com, and I'll be happy to give you more information on that. Starting in June 2020, we will now be tailoring our free weekly action classes that I have mentioned in previous episodes as office hours to our LinkedIn students to get their questions answered by our LinkedIn expert, founder of US Vet Wealth, and my husband, Scott R. Tucker. We hope that you'll join us with the free 30-day LinkedIn masterclass and even attend our action classes at the time of this recording, every Fridays, noon Eastern. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to help you. We'd love to serve you. So we hope that you will join us. And once again, you can learn more about all of that at usvetwealth.com, or you can email me personally with my business email, Jen, Jen at usvetwealth.com. All right, that's all the announcements I have for you. Thank you for bearing with me. Now what I want to do is introduce to you our guest for today. Christie Lawler is the founder and owner of CJL Consulting, LLC, a marketing consulting firm offering a full suite of marketing, branding, sales strategy, and training services for local, national, and global companies. Christie is soon to be a published author and speaks nationally on topics of marketing, cultural development, strategies, and branding. In 2018, Christie launched her philanthropic arm, the WITI Group. This allows Christie to dedicate her time to fulfilling her true purpose of building the next generation of female leaders, both through her company and charity. CJL Consulting is a WBENC certified women-owned small business. Christie also volunteers her time with other nonprofit foundations supporting the hospitality industry, as well as industry advisory board member. She is also a proud member of the Female Founders Collective. I hope that you enjoy this next interview given today's times and hear how Christie is now adapting her company to what is becoming today's new normal. Enjoy. Hi everyone, Jen Amos here with Holding Down the Fort, and I just want to say welcome back. And I'm really excited because every time I get to do another interview, it means that I get to interview another incredible person in our community. We have a spouse of a retired Air Force officer, Christie Lawler. There's also so many other amazing things that I've already mentioned to you about her in her bio, and she will be diving into a number of those things today. So Christie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a fantastic opportunity for me, and I'm so grateful for your time.
Yeah, for sure. And, prior to this recording, people don't know, but we actually mixed up the times to talk. So, Christie, I just want to thank you for your flexibility. And why don't you tell our listeners where you are calling from right now? Because I think it's really interesting.
Okay. So I live in Houston, Texas, which is known for our weather. And right now I am sitting in a park with a torrential downpour. And my plan was to go to the car and get home for a more quiet environment for this interview, but that did not happen because, let's be honest, I wasn't going to walk through a torrential downpour to get to my car.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
So there's that. Yeah.
Just to start off.
Right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's completely fine. And I love it. It reminds me of an interview I had where one of our past guests couldn't find his headset or he couldn't put it on. So he was just putting his phone on speaker while he was driving. And so you can hear like the ambiance of just being on the road. So trust me, like I think the sound of rain, and I can hear it too, it almost sounds therapeutic to me. So I don't mind it.
Nice thunder roll?
Yes, I just
there was that I know. I'm so sorry. And luckily it's calmed down because like 20 minutes ago, it was really insane. And it was like these cracks of thunder and lightning.
Oh my goodness.
Really loud and they made me jump. There's another one. There we go.
Yeah.
So Houston has weather.
Yeah. My husband and I live in Virginia Beach and we live like on the beach, which sounds like nice in theory, but I think something about like being near the water and just the crazy weather out here too. I remember when we first moved here about a year ago, it was just constant thunderstorms. And at first I thought it was going to be sort of boring to live on the beach, which I know I shouldn't be saying that because I thought the water would always be still because I'm originally from San Diego, California, and the weather there is, you're kind of like living in a bubble there, right? So here I was like, cool. We're getting near the water, but it probably won't be that interesting. It'll probably remind me of San Diego. But long and behold, with the crazy weather and the thunderstorms and the bugs and rodents that come with it, every day is interesting.
Way more interesting. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's
oh my God.
Yeah.
San Diego is known for their like normal weather patterns, right? They may have an earthquake or a Pacific rainstorm, but they don't have anything that happens on the East or Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
Where we get life-changing storms.
That's a good way to put it.
They don't get
those. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I know that firsthand. And I remember when we first moved out to the East Coast about 2 years ago, it was a complete culture shock for me to be like, wait, what? We have 4 seasons out here? It's just bizarre. And I feel like I've learned to embrace it almost 2 years out now. And I don't know, I kind of just stay home a lot of times, honestly. But yeah, it's been quite an experience.
I'm just curious, where did you move from?
I was originally in San Diego, California. I lived there for about 20 years. Prior to that, I was a military child. So I moved around every 2 to 3 years, usually around like Japan to California. And then when we moved, we actually moved to Richmond, Virginia for the first 7 months. And that was the first time in my adult life I had experienced all 4 seasons. Like I experienced it when I was a kid, when I didn't have like much responsibilities and I didn't have to go anywhere. So I remember the first time it snowed, I was like, how do people get to work? Like, how do people live out here? It was so interesting. And we lived in an apartment at the time. And I remember like all night, the trucks would put, they would salt the roads and I couldn't sleep because I was like, oh, I didn't know that they do that. I was like, oh, that's how people can get to work. It's like the government, I guess, just has these people salt the roads. But yeah, that was really interesting for me and really just like the thunderstorms and now that we live in Virginia Beach, it's no different other than the fact that it doesn't really snow here as much, but it is still really interesting.
Well, you'd hope it wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm actually glad because I learned what black ice is, or I think that's what it's called. And when you drive, like you have to be very mindful of the road. And so I remember when it was snowing in Richmond, my husband's like, I'm driving because he's originally from Ohio. So he is, he's familiar with black ice and, the 4 seasons. And he always likes to
girl. I had no idea what black ice was because I was from Arizona. And then we moved to Germany and I had to commute to one of the other bases for work on black ice.
Oh my!
And I didn't know how to do that. I mean, I didn't know how to drive in rain, much less black ice. And I think I hit multiple cars multiple times. And every time I hit another car, I would get out and do the thing where you're like, I'm so sorry I hit you. And they're like, it's okay. It's not a problem. We do this. That's what bumpers are for. That's the difference between Germany and the U.S.
Oh my goodness.
Because
so
if that happened in the U.S., it's a thing, right? You get the insurance companies involved in everything. In Germany, you hit someone by sliding into them on black ice and they're like, we're good.
It's just normal. No biggie.
My Jetta is okay.
Yeah, it's like, it's fine. It's no big deal. That's so funny. My husband lived in Germany for 11 years and I don't think I ever talked to him about, I met him like afterward. I never really asked him about what it was like when it snowed there. So now I'm curious to bring up that conversation to him.
One, it's gorgeous. So that's, oh my God, it's so beautiful. But 2, definitely ask him because I loved being stationed in Germany. Like that was our only duty station and it was amazing. And every time I would get really, really frustrated in my morning commute because of a shell, I would just be like, okay, you're stuck in traffic and it sucks. But oh my God, girl, you're stuck in traffic in Germany. So just stop bitching and just enjoy. Look around the scenery. And I would have this whole like self-think thing going on. And it made it so much fun because I learned one, well before like MapQuest or smartphones, I learned my way around in different cities because I was stuck in traffic and I was deviating from my route just to find a faster way. So I didn't mind it. I've been a military spouse almost my entire adult life. And you're right, you have to roll with it. Whatever it gives you, you just go. And it doesn't always necessarily make sense, but you have to just deal the hand you're dealt, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of which, let's dive into where you're at today, Christies. In addition to your amazing bio and our fun, candid conversation today about the weather that everyone has the pleasure of listening to right now, why don't you share a snapshot of your life today, particularly what keeps you excited and busy nowadays?
Okay, so every day I wake up really excited to figure out what I can do that day. And that has always been my mantra, but it's a natural and very organic thought process. because I am always looking for what's next. So with my company, with running this company that focuses on creating beverage and training programs for national restaurant and entertainment. Yeah, that's the word, entertainment chains.
Yes.
Right? Entertainment. Yeah. So I have a couple of chains that are either national golf-ish chains, like think Top Golf, but not Top Golf. And what I know is they have like better technology, and it's a company called Drive Shack. So you play golf while you drink and dine. And then Alamo Draft House, which is my first client with my company as we know it today. And they are the first ever dine-in, drink-in national theater company.
Wow.
And they're completely privately owned, and they are the genesis for enjoying a drink or food in your seat that's not popcorn or a hot dog got from a concession stand in a theater. And
Wow.
it's just a fantastic experience. So if you haven't been to an Alamo Draft House, you absolutely need to go to one because they're amazing. Once they reopen, of course.
Right.
But I started this and I just love it, and that is what we do. But the other side of my company, which is the most important side to me, is our nonprofit arm. I started a 501c3 foundation for women in the food and beverage industry that find themselves in abusive or otherwise hostile work environments.
Wow.
And our organization is now more than 65 female volunteers nationally that are like queens of the industry. I mean, everyone is a COO, CEO, founder, VP, director. I mean, these are women that are at the top of the food chain. And we're all volunteering to help women that want to find a path forward in the food and beverage service industry, which, as we all know, is really hurting right now.
Yeah.
And that's my bread and butter.
Right.
So it's the perfect time for my foundation to really make a difference and make an impact. And that's honestly my driving force.
That sounds so incredible, Christie. And you mentioned that, you're really helping empowering women in the industry, especially if they had experience. Can you describe that again? Like if they are in like a hostile, dangerous environment, Is that how you described it?
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing stems from my own personal experiences in my teens, 20s, and 30s, where I was either sexually assaulted or verbally assaulted in a sexual nature by a client, a colleague, or a customer, and my employer didn't have my back. So I wanted to create something that wasn't necessarily Me Too, but was focused on if you have this experience, you have a network to back you and help you, because I didn't stand up for myself. And I'm okay with that now. It was definitely a mistake that I didn't stand up for myself when it happened. But if I had stood up for myself, I don't know if I'd be where I am now.
Yeah.
Creating this space. And so now in my 40s, I feel like I can stand up for other women so that they don't have to worry about having a backing or a backbone or the courage, because we will get that for you. We will help you. We're here.
Yeah, no, that is completely amazing. And I appreciate you sharing that, and also sharing candidly, your past and what you went through.
Yeah.
And in a way, you turned your pain into your passion to make sure that other women don't go through the same circumstances.
Absolutely. Well, if you don't learn something from the bad things in your life, you're not going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So take the bad and build. That's it.
I'm curious with your nonprofit, do you have, I want to say like allies, like that are not women, that volunteer and help as well?
Yes, we do have witty men and they fund our nonprofit conference. They fund our fundraising events, and they are also known as our safe men. And like safe men are, I say that with air quotes since you can't see me, but those are the men that will absolutely, if you are in a situation that you can't get out of and you feel like it's going to be an issue if you try to get out of it, if you find a safe man, he will get you out of that situation. And all of these men are on board. They've agreed to it. They've volunteered for it.
Wow.
And that is a beautiful thing because many of them didn't know this existed. In fact, I haven't actually approached any of them. They all approached me and they were like, hey, I got daughters.
Yeah.
You're like, I love what you're doing. How can I be a part of it? And I'm like, well, this is how you just become a safe man.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, kudos to the men, the allies that are helping you in what you're doing with your nonprofit.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's so amazing.
I'm surrounded with amazing people. And
Sounds like it.
It's important to talk about the men that are great with a women's foundation. It's really important because this is not one-sided and we're not gender exclusive. We just have a focus that brings people in if they're of the right mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I have plenty of men that I know that are not lining up that I thought should or would. And that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, for sure. It's not for everyone and we can't help everyone. We can't save everyone, but at least, at least you're able to help those that really need it. Now, for women who are, going through that situation where they are possibly, unfortunately, sexually or verbally harassed, what would be the initial steps, to reach out to your nonprofit and seek out the help that they need?
Well, I would say first, go to your leadership. And if they won't help you, come to us. Because the best way to resolve an issue is to go internal. Always. And we know this from being military spouses. You don't go to the commander, you go to the immediate person, right? You don't want to necessarily raise a red flag because raising that massive red flag can reduce your credibility. So start with where the problem is. And then if it's not resolved, go higher.
I like that. That's very smart, is like start where it's like the closest in proximity in terms of like who you can speak to directly and then just climb your way up if that's not working.
Exactly.
Wow. Well, that is wonderful advice, and I appreciate you sharing all of that and for what you're doing with your nonprofit. So with Holding Down the Fort, our listeners here are typically the active duty military spouse, or it's people who are out of the military already. But generally, I like to focus the show on military spouses and military families and be able to provide them an educational topic. So in addition to everything we already talked about, which is already an amazing conversation, I want to now get into what you wanted to share, which is always being able to take every opportunity to build your skill set for your career and being portable in both your knowledge and skills to help you find the right job no matter where you get stationed. I'd like for you to elaborate more on this and if you have any personal experience with this as well.
Yeah, honestly, my experience is kind of short because we were only stationed once overseas. And we got married in a drive-through chapel, even though our wedding was planned just for the paperwork so that I could go with him overseas for his next duty station. I had no idea what I was signing up for. As many military spouses have no idea what they're signing up for. You are literally giving your trajectory over to an unknown deity.
Yeah.
Because the government determines your ability to be impactful. And for women that are career oriented, that is a nightmare situation.
Yeah.
That's just not okay. Like, not ever. And I'm sure you've experienced this too, but our first duty station, we got married in the drive-thru. We had the big wedding, and 3 days after the big wedding, we moved to Germany. And I thought that I was going to be A-okay to find a job because I had a college degree.
Yeah.
I couldn't have been more wrong.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So I had 3 internships my junior and senior year. I managed bars, so I was working, and I was killing it financially. I was clearing like $6,000 a month in tips.
Wow.
In the 90s.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there it is.
Love it.
So I was making a really good income. And I was really excited to go to Germany and get the government to pay for me to like have this European experience. And we get there and people are all of a sudden calling me a dependent, which I hated because I made more money than my husband did because he was in E4 at the time. And so he was broke. I didn't know that until we got there. And then I saw our financials and had to figure that out. But I couldn't find a job that matched my income. Of course. Like, where are you going to find a job making $6,000 a month in tips?
Right.
Cash. Where are you going to find a job like that in the 90s? So I went to work at AC's and I went to work at the hotel locally for MWR. And I started volunteering for the local newspaper because I had a journalism degree. And I really wanted to be a camera person. Like, I wanted to shoot the videos that told the stories. I didn't want to be on camera. I wanted to be behind the camera and create the pictures.
Right.
What I didn't realize is that was not an option. And I also sucked at taking pictures. Didn't know that either. Learned it by volunteering. But it took me 6 months of working for free for the local newspaper and as a volunteer and doing night shifts at the hotel as a front desk clerk and day shifts at the commissary for ACs in my little red vest with a name tag.
Yeah.
Which that was completely debasing for me at that time because I was 23 and felt like I deserved more. I was wrong. No one at 23 deserves more. But I felt like I did at that time. That's a beautiful thing about perspective. We all realize how much we didn't know when we thought we knew everything.
Right, right.
I thought I knew everything. Oh my God, but I knew nothing. But 6 months after volunteering and the commander mistaking me for an intern when I was actually a staff writer for the newspaper, even though he knew me, he's like, "Hey, do you go to school here?" And I'm like, No, Commander. I work for you. You know me. I'm Christie. And he's like, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed." Don't be. Don't be. It's okay. You're the commander. I'm just this little reporter thing that flits about. But I loved it. I got the job. The job. That's the important thing. It wasn't easy, but I got the job.
Yes.
And then I got promotion from that job.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun. It was amazing. Ended up getting promoted to start the marketing office, which hadn't existed. So I created my idea of a marketing office with no marketing experience whatsoever. and they turned it into the model for MWR marketing in Europe for the Army.
Wow, Christie.
Crazy.
You sound like a trailblazer.
I really was, but I didn't know it at the time. I think I would have liked to have known it because I would have felt better about myself. But I just sat there every day suffering imposter syndrome. And I think that's something most people can relate to.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Yeah, it's just imposter syndrome is such a real thing. I feel like I've already done a couple conversations over podcasting just about the imposter syndrome topic. So I'm glad that you're bringing light to it too, because how do I want to say this? Like, it's just reassuring to know that we all experience that. And since we all do, it's like, since we all do anyway, why don't we just laugh about it and just go on anyway and just figure it out anyway?
Exactly. I mean, imposter syndrome is your internal compass telling you to move forward, as far as I'm concerned, because that is your weakness sharing light with you. So just listen, move, because if you're going to let it hold you back, that's you holding yourself back. Don't do that. You're better than that.
Yeah.
Everybody is better than that. Right?
Preach. Preach, Christie.
I know. I should have a pulpit, but I don't. I may build one in the backyard. Whatever.
There you go. Love it. Well, I think that's really awesome how at a young age, or at least in your young adult years, you took every opportunity you could, to set yourself up for some kind of career. And because you were open and you were willing to work, you were able to get a job, you're able to get a promotion. And so I think that's absolutely awesome. And now, fast forward to life today, do you feel like you still have that same mindset about taking advantage of every opportunity to, continue to build your career?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. My career doesn't end with me reaching goals. It just means I'm creating new goals, right? We're always moving forward, because if you're not moving forward, you're dying. So my choice is to not die and to build. So I am very excited about the new things that we're creating and doing in terms of our product line, which is going to be announced shortly, our new service lines, which are amazing. I am so excited to come out of COVID with more options than we went into this situation with.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Christie, I just want to thank you so much for just being so candid and open with me about your life and your success and where you're at today. And of course, at the time of this recording, we are all, worldwide experiencing this quarantine, coronavirus pandemic. And, with that, it has affected so many people's lives, so many people's businesses, so many people's futures that they thought that they had set already. And so I'm curious for you, Christie, how has that affected you and your business and everything you're doing today? And how are you rising up from it?
Oh my gosh, that's like 5 questions and they're all excellent.
Sorry, I totally listed too many of them, but hopefully you'll have one answer for that. Yeah.
It's okay. I actually do. I have have you talked to me yet? I got 15,000 answers.
I love it.
This is so freaking weird. So weird. None of this makes sense, right?
Yeah.
We're dealing with something that we've never, ever seen in our lifetime. Yep. And no one that we know has seen this unless they were alive for the Spanish flu, which wasn't the same because we didn't have the media 24 hours a day during the Spanish flu, right?
Right.
Television didn't exist. So there's that. No, our entire income base, as we know it as a company, dried up in a week because all of our clients shut down or furloughed or went to modified service systems which means they didn't have a use for our tools and mechanisms. So that sucks, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we give up. That means we figure out a way to help them and build new opportunities for the company so that we actually can survive this. Because conventionally, when your clients dry up and you dry up, you don't survive. So I spent a lot of time really thinking about what we could do that would be different and helpful for our clients now and our clients in the future.
Yeah.
So we built a free webinar weekly series for our industry that is open to everybody and to help them through this whole crisis. But we also created a new service line that didn't exist before, especially for our industry. But I'm really excited because we created celebrity chef curated food and smoothie and juice recipes that are focused on the healthcare space. So that not only the patients, but the providers are getting solid nutrition instead of like going into the cafeteria and getting a burger, fries, and a Coke. That's not nutritious. We know this. We know this. But that's what's available. So we're aiming to help change that with a low financial barrier to entry. And we're building that. But we're also building an entirely different product line that's built on drink at home concept. Originally, it was going to be used for commercial use, for infusions in bars and restaurants, and now it's a at-home thing. So we've completely pivoted. Even our original idea before this happened, we pivoted that now. It's nuts. It's all nuts.
Wow.
But it's so exciting.
Yeah, no, it absolutely sounds like it. And I think that just goes back to my original compliment to you that you just sound like this amazing trailblazer in what you do. And it also goes back to what you were saying at the beginning of this conversation, that every day you're always looking for what's next. And it sounds like you've been able to figure that out. And I'm just really excited for you, Christie, and for your business and your nonprofit and everything you're doing today. And I think that all of us are going to come out of this pandemic different. It's going to be a different type of normal. And it sounds like you are already preparing for that. Like you're already set for that. And really interesting to see what's going to happen when we're back out there again. And we could actually, shake each other's hands or give each other high fives. Very curious to see what's going to look like.
I know.
Yeah. Well, Christie, we had such an incredible conversation today. I'm just very captivated by everything that you said. And I'm sure that our listeners will feel the same way. If they're interested in reaching out to you or learning more about you, how can they do that? How can they find you online?
The best way is with our website, honestly. It's CJL Consult, and that's plural, consult.com, or on LinkedIn. Just Google me on LinkedIn or search me, Christie Lawler.
Perfect. Oh, wow. Any closing thoughts? I feel like we can talk forever, but I want to see if you had any final closing thoughts.
I think the most important thing is to always trust yourself, value yourself, know what you bring to the table, and don't deviate from what you know.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Awesome, Christie. Well, thank you so much again for your time. And to our listeners, we hope that today's episode gave you one more piece of knowledge, resource, or relevant story so you can continue to make confident, informed decisions for you and your family. We look forward to speaking with you in the next episode, and tune in next time.